get into our first segment.
Show them the money.
Show them the door.
So I got to show them the money this week, and we're going to give it to Travis Hunter from the Colorado Buffaloes, winning the Heisman. I looked up his stats. First off, to have a dual guy, I think is unheard of at this point. I mean, you've got a great wide receiver. You have a great cornerback. He's good on both sides. He had over 1,100 receiving yards, 14 touchdowns on the offensive side, and he had 20 solo tackles on the defensive side. That's, I think, the reason why he won it is because you just don't see that very often. I mean, obviously you had a strong argument for Dylan Gabriel for the Oregon Ducks. I think he had a phenomenal year, 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns. He would probably have been the runner-up, I would think. I don't know if they do that or not.
It was Johnson out of Boise State, man.
Yeah, I would have given it to Dylan Gabriel. That's what I would have done.
Well, I think if you went and looked at the voting results or whatever, Johnson out of Boise State was on like 100 votes behind. Like, it was a really
close.
I think they said it was like, I don't know the specific year, but it was some like margin that was the closest it's been since like 2016 or something like that.
Okay.
And Johnson also led. I mean, I know this showed him the money's for Travis Hunter, but Johnson also led in a number of statistical categories when it comes to rushing stats. I mean, he was first in rushing touchdowns, average yards. Like, you can go down the list.
I'm just going to make the same argument we've been making. Who did Boise State face?
Yeah.
That's
who did Colorado State or Colorado face?
They played some tougher teams, I feel like. But I don't know. Overall, it seems like Travis Hunter he's great on both sides. From what we can tell, he's a great teammate.
Yeah.
And he's also doing well in the classroom. It actually just came out, I think, 2 days ago. His GPA, he's at a 3.8 GPA.
Yeah.
So, smart kid. Obviously going to go to the NFL. It'll be interesting to see how they use him, whether they're going to use him on the defensive side, whether they use him on the offensive side. Certainly, he's not going to play both sides in the NFL. They're not going to let him do that.
Yeah, I doubt that.
They'll have to pick one or the other. But it's from the looks of it, you could benefit from both sides. So,
yeah,
congratulations to him for sure.
I mean, I think Travis Hunter is the first defensive player to win it since Charles Woodson. That's amazing.
Michigan. Yeah.
Now, if I was to criticize him, I think that when he starts getting that NFL money, he can get a better girlfriend. Because I've been seeing a lot of stuff this Heisman week. That's, I mean, I don't know. He's posting and stuff, talking about we've been together 5 years. Y'all don't know us. Y'all don't know our relationship. I've seen some clips. I've seen some videos. All right, and everyone knows the internet doesn't lie, right? So
I'm not gonna address any of that. Let's just move on from that one.
Hey, if Travis Hunter gets to seeing this episode and calls me out on it, I think it's a win-win situation. All right. So let's get to show him the door. Now, last week I had show him the money, and I gave it to Caitlin Clark for winning the Athlete of the Year, the Times Athlete of the Year.
Yep.
Now, this show 'em the door is also going to the WNBA, but it is going to the Washington Mystics co-owner Sheila Johnson and the WNBA just as a whole. So this quote right here that was released by Sheila Johnson in an interview that she said, it was, "This year something clicked with the WNBA, and it's because of the draft or the players that came in. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's Angel Reese as well. We have so much talent out there that has been unrecognized. I don't think we can just pin it on one player." In that interview, she was advocating for the WNBA as a whole to be the Times Athlete of the Year, I guess. Which, how does that work?
I don't know.
And basically the entire interview, she's taking all credibility away from Caitlin Clark and all the things she's accomplished. And that's why I would give it to Sheila Johnson, but also to the WNBA as a whole. Because not only is Sheila Johnson talking that, I mean, after I made that last podcast, we started discovering what Caitlin Clark is saying about the award, talking about how she has white privilege, talking about how that has, pushed her into this spotlight that gets her things like Times Athlete of the Year. And this is a common sentiment that was displayed all over the WNBA last year. I mean, there was constantly clips coming out about Caitlin Clark getting bullied on the court and how her team, or not necessarily her teammates, but other teams around the league, how they just don't like Caitlin Clark for whatever specific reason. People coming out and saying, oh, she's nothing special, we've been doing this. I mean, her stats were ridiculous. And on our last podcast, I pointed out the amount of publicity, the spotlight that she has brought to the WNBA.
Right.
I'm showing them the door to that Mystics owner and the WNBA, because how can you have someone win Times Athlete of the Year? That's across all leagues. And the first instinct that we all have is to start dragging her down and having not only her talking about white privilege, but having this Mystics owner talking about, well, it's not just her, it's all of the WNBA, and mentioning Angel Reese in that conversation. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with that sentiment that it's not just Caitlin Clark. Sure, I would definitely say that it's majority Caitlin Clark. She's definitely leading the charge on this. But for you to release something like that right after she wins it, I mean, how disheartening is that for Caitlin Clark and maybe the support that she doesn't feel now, and this being something that's not legitimized? It's definitely, in my opinion, I just don't think that the WNBA deserves a player like Caitlin Clark.
I'm going to stay out of the white privilege conversation because obviously I'm a white dude and I don't even really want to go down that road. I mean, I'll say I'm frustrated that she said that, because here's the only thing I'm going to say. Every sport is categorized and you're based on your talent as a person.
Yeah.
As an individual, what are you doing on the court? What are you doing on the field? What are you doing on the pitch? What are you doing as an individual? That's how you are judged.
Yeah.
You're not judged on, I mean, I hate to, well, I know, I'll quote Martin Luther King, you're not judged on your skin color.
But the content of your character.
And the content of your talent when you're on that field.
Yeah.
And on that court. And that's that's being judged. Now, I will tell you, not being disrespectful to the WNBA, I've watched games because of Caitlin Clark. I've watched games just because I became interested when it started to kind of really boost in the level. The talent is not great. And I mean, not great. You watch it, they're terrible shots. You just, there's no flow in the game. And what she came in and did is give it something to where she worked. It's not like somebody just handed it to her. No. She worked really hard to get to where she's at.
I mean, she was breaking records her rookie year.
Yeah.
Like assist records, double-double records. I think she got 3 or 4 triple-doubles, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, Caitlin Clark was definitely... If she wasn't a rookie, she could have been in the conversation for MVP. That's how she was performing.
Yep.
And I saw a quote, I forget who it was. I think it was on a CNN panel where someone was arguing Caitlin Clark's case. Just going back to this whole white privilege thing, there's no place for white privilege or race politics in general when it comes to sports. Maybe if you take it back and you're considering the opportunity that is given, you can have that type of conversation. Sure. But when you're on the court, it's not like you get more points for being white. 2 points is still 2 points. 3 points is still 3. A rebound's a rebound. An assist is an assist. So statistically, Caitlin Clark was on top of everyone. I just don't necessarily... And, I mean, one thing she was saying is that, this league was built off of the black players. But, was it built? Because, I mean, they weren't being very successful. They're still not really in the plus money side of things.
Yeah. They lost money last year.
You're talking about this league was built off of black players, but, if you're building something and it's not being successful, then what are we talking about here? That's just like I took it back to whenever we just mentioned Caitlin in the last podcast. It reminds me of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Whenever Magic Johnson and Larry Bird both came into the league, that's when the NBA started opening up the spotlight. There's an opportunity here for that to be Caitlin Clark and for that to be Angel Reese. It's fine to have Angel Reese in the conversation. It's not like we have to butt her out completely. It's not solely Caitlin Clark. I agree. But right now, Caitlin Clark is Magic Johnson.
Right.
Right now, Caitlin Clark is the show. That's we have a feud, a rivalry here. And Caitlin Clark, I mean, both of them are still losing. It's not like Fever or the Chicago Sky are making it all the way to the playoffs yet. So they still have to develop. Yeah. But just ultimately what a dumb conversation to be having. Instead of celebrating your player that one did a magnificent job in winning Times Athlete of the Year, we are now having conversations about it's not all about Caitlin Clark and there's white privilege involved. I mean, why? Why can't we just let a good thing be a good thing?